In this video, we're going to be hiking to the Grotto from Circle X Ranch in the Santa Monica Mountains. There's plenty of parking for this trail at Circle X Ranch, and on the road to the trailhead, there's also plenty of additional parking. Up a few stairs from the parking lot, there's an observatory station that monitors tectonic plates and seismic activity. To start the hike, you go down the main road from the Circle X Ranch, which goes to the reserved campground area where the trailhead is. The Grotto Trail passes by multiple waterfalls and through many scenic areas of the Santa Monica Mountains. It's a 2.6 mile out and back hike in total and is rated as moderately difficult. So from here, the road continues left towards the Grotto Trailhead and towards the Circle X group campground where the trailhead starts. There's also some additional parking along this road. So the road to the trailhead also passes through these reserved campground areas, and there are definitely a lot of picnic tables and grills available here, and otherwise it's just a nice scenic walk to the trailhead. So right here is the Grotto Trailhead, and we hike 1.3 miles from here to the grotto. While the majority of the trail isn't shaded, it goes through some nice areas of trees, and the entire chaparral environment is definitely nice and green from the recent rains. Along the trail you can see many examples of nice native trees, shrubs, and grasses, and you can also see some invasive non-native plants such as many species of eucalyptus. Fire damage from 4 years ago was still apparent on most of the trail, even though the whole area has recovered nicely, and I believe this area was burned in the 2018 Woolsey fire. So this trail so far passes along a creek that does have water in it right now, which is nice. And you can still definitely see a lot of fire damage here, including some of these burned trees that don't look like they've recovered. But everything else around here has recovered nicely. The hike to the grotto from Circle X Ranch is fairly easy, but on the way back to the parking lot, it can get more difficult in some areas that are mainly uphill. The hike is definitely beautiful and offers some awesome photo opportunities of the mountain views, rock formations, waterfalls, and trees. So we're passing by the first waterfall on this hike, and the trail goes right by the top, as you can see here. So from here you can see where the trail is going along the side of that hill, and there you'll get a nice view of this waterfall from another angle. In the spring and winter months, the trail is surrounded by many beautiful native plants such as this purple chaparral nightshade. Right here there's also an active waterfall. This one probably only flows after heavy rain. At this point, the trail begins passing into a flatter, grassy area before beginning to go downhill, and you get some nice views of mountain peaks and rock formations in the distance. So on this trail, there are also some awesome photo opportunities of these mountains and the rock formations, and especially after rain, everything will be nice and green. So this is the second waterfall that you see along the trail. That might be the main waterfall that you eventually hike to, but I'm not 100% sure. I later realized that while there is a hike to that waterfall, I'm not 100% sure what the trail is called, and it definitely isn't part of this hike. Here the trail begins downhill, and you can see two fairly small waterfalls on the mountain face ahead. This part of the hike is the last downhill section before it descends into a valley where the waterfall is located and the majority of the rest of the hike is located. Lots of areas in this valley are also shaded by beautiful, wide native oak trees. I believe that most of the oak trees you see along this hike are coast live oaks, but there might also be a couple of valley oaks in some areas. So after another creek crossing, the Grotto Trail continues here for another 0.6 miles. So here the trail continues passing by a creek. There aren't many trees here except there are a few sycamores, and there are also some non-native trees like this eucalyptus that's growing out of the water. This part of the hike is pretty easy with only about 0.4 miles remaining as it continues through a fairly flat area. Right before reaching the grotto, you'll come to a beautiful grove of coast live oak trees that's surrounded by creeks. So before you actually get to the main waterfall, there's this awesome shaded area right next to the creek covered by these beautiful oak trees. And it's especially nice when there's water flowing through the creek, and it's definitely a lot cooler down here than on the trail because it's mainly shaded. After leaving the oak grove, there's one last creek crossing before you can reach the grotto. When you come to the first part of the grotto, there are some large rocks that you can climb over to see pools of water and some small waterfalls. To see the main part of the waterfall, which is in an underground cave, you'll need to climb down some large rocks, which can be difficult, especially if it's slippery. You definitely have to be careful climbing down these rocks, but it wasn't slippery when I was there, and it was easy to hold on to surrounding tree branches. After reaching the second pool of water, you'll have to climb over another large rock and down into the cave to see the main waterfall. Climbing down into the cave can be fairly difficult, but it was definitely worth it because it's an awesome experience, especially if there's no one in there with you. Most of the grotto itself is filled with water, but there are some small stone areas on the side where you can stop and watch the waterfall. The only light coming into the cave is from a small gap in the rock above where the water is flowing, and this creates a beautiful effect inside. I consider this the best part of the hike, and I don't recommend coming to do this hike and not climbing down into the cave because it's definitely the most beautiful waterfall you're going to see in this area. The climb out of the grotto was also moderately difficult, but it was all worth it to see the beautiful waterfall and rock formations underneath. So I definitely consider this the best waterfall hike in this area, so that's the end of this hike for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon for another video.